Alright, we have a 2006 Buick Rendezvous, as I like to call it. Rendezvous. I hate that name. We are working on a radiator and coolant hose replacement. Turn into a nice little job. It's a fairly big vehicle, but it seems like everything's always packed in tight. Alright, first thing I had to do was coolant tank. That just snaps in. There's a corner bracket here. Those both need to come out. Corner bracket had two. Actually, it has three 13 millimeters, I believe they were. 1, 2, 3, and then that flips up. Coolant reservoir. I'll probably unhook that pretty soon. That's a good, nice, not a very good grommet no more. Anyway, and then there is a plug for the cooling fans. The cooling fans, it looks like, will come out with the radiator at the same time, and then you will have to disassemble them from the radiator to the new radiator. They call it a heat exchanger assembly. I wrapped a few pieces of new tape on a couple areas. Never hurts. So, yeah, that plug came out fairly easy, although you gotta get to the back side and get that. Oh, did that break? No, I guess it just slides onto that. But be careful not to break that off. If you do, no biggie, I guess. To get the hose off, I had to unplug this giant computer plug piece. How did I do that? It's plugged in, and then there's like a keyway. You gotta pull this out. I believe I pulled the blue keyway out. And this whole plug, there's like another keyway safety or whatever. I believe I had to pull that up. That had to come out to get to the radiator hose inlet on the engine. Next, there was two engine mounts on the front of the engine. They came out fairly easy. To get this moved up out of the way, you have to loosen this 15 millimeter and a 13 millimeter. Just loosen those up. And as long as you're in there, you may as well check your mounts. Usually you can tell if they're all messed up. They'll be all ripped, and these ones look pretty good yet. Cracked. That could make your engine vibrate, I guess, when it's idling. Or when you put it in gear. Those look pretty good. Then you can just flop them out of the way. I guess you could take them off if you wanted to. I see no need to. And there is another reinforcement tube On the other side, same deal. A couple of 13s, 13 millimeters, I believe. I'm probably gonna have to loosen that on the other end as well, like I did this other one. That one was rusted in pretty good, so I'm gonna make sure to spray some WD-40 on it, or at the least a little bit of drain oil. Help protect it. Kill the rust for a while anyway. It looks to me like there's little isolators. Every car that I've looked at lately, they're always loose like this. But I think I'm just gonna take a few. I mean, that probably means they're worn out a little bit. I'm just gonna take a little piece of, I have some junk hose, garden hose pieces, and put it between there, I think, make it a little tighter. Otherwise, you buy new bushings, they're probably going to be like 20 bucks. It's stupid. Tiny little part like that should not cost that much. So, overflow. Clips on the radiator. I will just take it off of there for now. And then next, we are going to have a problem with trying to get, man, they don't give you much room. Typical of car repair work. Yeah, transmission fluid lines. These guys. I don't understand. I think it's an extra lock nut that they have. I have not worked on a vehicle before that's ever had these. I'm thinking that is a clip. I think it's some type of lock nut, because it looks like directly behind it there is the normal screw or bolt. Hose is way down there. There's no way to get at that hose, so you just have to take it off on the engine, it appears. As far as, well, I had clean cardboard. The damn chickens ran over it all day. I drained out the fluid, although there was only not even a gallon left, it looks like. This vehicle is supposed to have the Dex coolant, which is orange. It's a GM thing, although from the research I've done, it looks like everything has moved to a long life coolant, and they are all different colors, so it looks like newer vehicles actually use the typical green that has been used for years and years. So there was a cover under here. Somebody had it half cut off already. There's kind of a wind dam underneath, so I don't know what that's going to entail. That might turn into a can of worms. Luckily, whoever had this vehicle before my friend, it appears they cut it off. And where is it? There it is. And that's what that looks like. Get out there. And there was 1, 2, 3, 4 small screws. I believe they were 10 millimeter. And then you can finally get to the drain spigot. Lefty loosey. and drain the rest of your fluid. And this is gonna be fun. There's another look at this weird, strange clip. Boy, I don't know. I mean, there is a nut behind it. I'm just gonna have to take a pliers and play with it, I guess. Even from the underside, I mean, if you had like a special pliers, you could get that hose off, but if you had to, but it's a lot easier from the top. So I'm gonna try and work on the tranny lines now. Alright, this bracket needs to come out. I just discovered on this fuse box, electrical box, yeah, there's a 10mm bolt, but the box is broken, so that was just sitting there. And there's big wires coming out of this. There's no way to... I think I can flop it up just enough to... Actually, what I'm gonna have to do is just take this bolt out all the way. And then we'll have access to lift the radiator out. Alright, well, this is not looking good to me. There should be an air conditioner cooling radiator, and it looks like it's bolted on to the back of the engine radiator, so I don't know. I'm actually going to try and take out the fan next to get me more room to work on the transmission cooling line. To get that out, there's one bolt on each side. That holds everything in place, and then you should be able to slide the cooling fan out. There's little tabs it just sits on the radiator down there. I think you can see it. Yeah, you just lift straight up and they slide out. And then hopefully I can work on the cooling lines. Alright. You can get the 10mm, another 10mm. That's the most common size on vehicles nowadays. 10s and 13s, it seems like. That lifts out. That would be the radiator retainer, I guess. And then this should lift right out. Oh shoot. Okay, that holds the assembly of everything in. Oh boy, how am I gonna get to that? It looks like the air conditioner radiator is bolted on to the front. I don't know how I'm gonna get to that. Looks like there's a bolt right on the back of the main radiator. So the cooling fan, looks like 2 more bolts. This is turning into a job, as this stuff usually does. I feel like the newer the vehicles are, the harder they are to work on. This is a 2006. It's probably the newest vehicle I've worked on. And yeah, it's turning into a cluster. This is really great. And you can't even get to this, so now I gotta take the battery out, it looks like. Which is a good practice. When you're working on vehicles anyways. I'm just gonna try and find a shorter socket. Interesting little development here. Taking this cooling fan assembly out. I really should take this battery out, but this bolt, actually maybe I will have to. This bolt that I could barely get at, I'm sure it's a 10mm. Oh gosh, I have to take the battery out to get it out. Anyway, it looks like, yeah, that battery's coming out, so there's another thing you gotta do. That'll be fun. Yeah, it looks like this long bolt holds everything together. I thought I was going to have to take the grill out, which I don't know what the deal is. This bumper cover is barely held on. This grill would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs. I thought I was gonna be able to get to the bolt that way, but it appears this bolt on the inside goes all the way through, which holds the air conditioning evaporator, radiator, I believe that's what they call it, all together. To take that out, then you gotta take more lines off, which I'm not getting into because then you can't do that, and you don't gotta do that anyways, because then you'd have to recharge your air conditioning and all that bullshit. But it looks like that is loose now. You can't see it probably, but I can. So hopefully the next take here, after the battery's out now, this will all be out hopefully. Alright, I'm going to take the battery out now. Here's a great tool if you don't have one. It's actually worth investing in if you're going to be doing wrenching on multiple vehicles. Battery terminal tool. Mainly GM, I believe. I think GM is the only manufacturer which covers Buick, Pontiac, everything that General Motors makes. Terminal replacement tool. Otherwise, I believe it's a 5/16. That's a must-have tool. Other thing to mention here, this vehicle has a bungee cord holding the battery in. That is not your best bet, but it's totally understandable. My guess is the original bracket that came over, that bolt will break off. I guess by any means this is better than nothing, but you really want the battery in as tight as it can be. You don't want any jumping around because that's bad for battery health. By all means, try not to use a bungee, but it's better than nothing. Now we should have room to play around here.